Hello, welcome to JDG Sport video number 12 with me, James Gordon. In this episode I want to talk about the differences between writing for a club and writing for a publication, which is something I've experienced a bit over my time. Of course, you either work for the club as a media manager or as a journalist or as an in-house contributor to either the club website or social media, and then of course there's coming at it from a publication angle. So whether you're writing for a newspaper, for an independent website, for for the radio, for the TV, and I wanted to talk about some subtle differences that I've come across during that time and how it differs. So I think the main one for me is sort of speed. So speed is so important when you're, and I'll need to come up with some words to describe it, but we'll call independent, we'll have independent versus club. When you're independent, speed's so important. You're trying to be quickest, you're trying to be out there first, you want to break the news story first, you want to get the goal score up first. I would argue that when you're the club, that's not necessarily the case, because the club is the official source of information. People are already looking out for the club's output. What I would say is better for the club is to be a bit more considered and have a higher quality post. So a good example is, I experienced this example a few years ago when a client of ours, they'd lost a few games and they won one. Now, as soon as that final hooter or buzzer or whistle goes, do you then push out a tweet immediately that says, "We won"? Or do you just give it a couple of minutes to make sure you've got a nice graphic designed or something a bit more considered, which would get greater reach? You know, what's better? Is it better for the club to have it instantaneously, or is it better that the club has something that looks smart, because the chances are that this post is going to reach a lot more people? So that's one area. Certainly on social, it's instead of doing things, obviously you want to do it quick. I'm not saying to wait forever and ever, but get it right, because it's an opportunity, and game day is a good opportunity for you to create content that's going to increase your engagement and increase your reach. Tone of voice is another interesting one. When you're independent, of course, you want to be impartial, you want to be objective, you don't want to show a great deal of bias, whereas you can be a bit more loose with that when you're a club. I'm not a massive fan of clubs being really biased and really one-eyed, if you like, but you can have a little bit of we, us, when you write for a club, because don't forget, you're speaking to fans who consider you as part of them, and so the fans, to be able to have that relationship with the fans is much better. On that note, obviously you've got to be a bit more prim and proper when you're writing for a club as opposed to if you're independent. So no bagging the coach, no bagging the players, because you're going to have to speak to them next week. Now, I'm not saying that independent journalists or whoever should be bagging players or coaches, but you can have a bit more controversy with your opinions. You can push the lines a little bit, the boundaries a little bit when you're independent. You've also got the commercial responsibility to be considered of when you're for the club. You don't want to do anything that's going to upset a sponsor or cause you any problems with other staff. And then a few other points as well. When you're writing for the club website, for instance, your fans are going to be reading this, and that's the club's output. If you've lost the game, how can you write it in a manner that's not going to make fans even more hacked off than they already are? So can you write in a way, I remember writing for a client who'd drawn against lower league opposition. You've got to be very, in my opinion, as much as you're being honest, you've got to put as positive spin on it as possible. So you've got to try and write it with the club's reputation, if you like, at heart. We've seen a really bizarre one recently where a non-league football club, on their official match report, they said they bent over for the opposition, which was quite astonishing. But I think, from my point of view, you always try and look at the positives, and obviously if you've got beat, you've got beat, but always try and write in a manner that it's positive, it's as positive as you can be. So, if you've lost the lower league opposition and there's a weakened team, lean on the fact that the younger players have got experience or whatever it might be. Of course, fans aren't stupid, they can see right through it, but at least you're portraying it in the right way. It actually reminded me of, I did an article for Welsh Media. I'm hoping Andrew's watching one of these. I did an article for him a few years ago, which I may do a feature on in another video, where I talked about, it was Leeds Rhinos at the time, of how they were winning on social media even when they lose. So that's really a good article. We'll put the link in the comments actually for you to have a look at that one. And the point of that was, even when you lose the games, you should still go through the same things that you do when you win. You've seen one of the previous videos, consistency is key. consistency, even when you win or lose, is key. And so many clubs perhaps do less when they lose because they're worried about what fans are going to say, but you've just got to ride through it. You've got to be clever. You've got to try and change your tone and change your message to be as comfortable and as nice as you can be, even if you lose. I hope you found that discussion interesting. I'd love to hear from other people who've experienced both sides of the coin, writing for a club and writing for a publication. But that's it from me. It's full time for now. I'll see you next week.